You are listening to Pause. We pause for a second or two. This is episode 177. Outer structure breaking down. At every moment, we take many things for granted. At every moment, there are thousands of different parts of our outer infrastructure that we take for granted, that they are just supposed to be working, to be up and running, to not present any irregularities or any problems. At every moment, our sense of control, our sense of clarity depends upon many more factors, many more aspects than we might readily want to admit. Right now, we are seeing an overall trend in how people feel towards society, towards infrastructure, towards institutions. We are seeing that the overall trust in and confidence in our financial system is going down. We are seeing that the overall trust in the judicial system is also going down. We are seeing that the overall trust in different institutions, departments of government and the like, that trust is also going down. The trust in politicians might always be quite low, of course, but that is also going down. The trust in our society working is not so good right now. And also the trust between countries is also going down. So our international order is also suffering right now. Today's episode is called Outer Structure Breaking Down. And what we just have touched upon is this, that what we call society, or what we call infrastructure, is different ways to express outer structure that is not inside of us, that is working up and running without, or I should say, regardless of what we are feeling towards it. So I might wake up today and feel one way, and tomorrow I might wake up and feel another way. And the outer structure, the outer infrastructure, institutions, laws, regulations, traditions, all of that stuff, it sort of keeps people in a sense of control, even when they have their own inner sort of fluctuations or comings and goings. And a person might feel quite up and down from one day to the next, but still the outer structure is so robust or so predictable that it doesn't really matter that much. It doesn't affect the person that much to be up and down, because the outer structure is there. It is keeping them afloat. However, now we are seeing that parts of our outer infrastructure is breaking down. As the trust in the structure is breaking down, the structure is breaking down. Without trust, there can be no structure. The goal, the Polaroid for today's episode, is confused goal structure. And implicitly, when we talk about an emotional skill, as we're doing now, emotional skills are inner. They are inside of us. It's how we feel and how our mind works, how our body works. And it's all inner. It's inside of us. And confused goal structure, implicitly what means is confused goal inner structure, as opposed to outer structure. Confused goal inner structure. And plainly speaking, as outer structure now is breaking down piece by piece, it's not really sure how far it will go, how much it will break down, but it is in the process of breaking down. And when our outer structure is breaking down, the consequence it has on us emotionally, how it affects our lives, is primarily that we get confused. We get really confused. We began today's episode talking about that at every given moment we take thousands of different outer parts of structure for granted. We just count on them to sort of be like they always are. And when they are breaking down, they are not. So there goes our clarity, there goes our sense of control, and leaves us instead feeling confused. Simply because we cannot trust in the outer structure as much. There is less to lean on emotionally. And what we are left with is confusion. What we instinctively do when we are confused, since we are left with confusion instead, we do not want to be confused. We want to push away confusion. It is uncomfortable. It is scary. It hurts our sense of pride. It hurts our sense of identity that we are feeling confused. So the first thing we do when we do not apply any emotional skills is to just push away the feeling of confusion, or we deny that we are confused at all. So we say, oh, that's a shame that this outer structure part has broken down, but I am not confused. It doesn't affect me. It's okay. I am all right. I am not less in control today than I was yesterday. But we are. We are. It is stupid to push away confusion. We need confusion. Confusion is raw material. If we do not have confusion, we do not have any raw material to create any inner structure from. So when something outer is breaking down, it creates confusion in us. And then we use that confusion to create inner structure. Confusion is the necessity that makes us creative, the necessity that makes our souls find new ways, new ideas. So anything interesting ever created was created out of necessity, was created out of confusion. So if we push away confusion, we will never grow, we will never become interesting, and our lives will just be dull. Confused goal structure, today's Polaroid, today's goal, is about using confusion and creating a structure for our confusion so that we may use it as raw material to create interesting things. That's what the skill is about. That is what our confused situation is about. And we have different specific skills in order to do this more nuanced, in a more nuanced way. But the overall idea is simply to familiarize ourselves with confusion and to create like a scaffolding for it. It's sort of like night vision or vision in the dark, that if we are inside, there's some electrical light inside, and then we step out into the night and it's dark. Confusion is like that. At first we step out and it's just super dark. We see nothing because we are stepping out from the light. And And it takes some time for our vision, for our sight to start sort of acclimating itself, to sort of get used to the darkness and start seeing contours and textures in the dark. It takes some time. And confused goal structure is the same. It takes time. It takes time to see what confusion is good for. It takes time to sort of build a structure for it, an inner structure, an emotional structure of the soul, structure for the soul, so that our soul can have a sense of control even when outer structure is lacking. That is the point. So we become less dependent on outer structure because we have inner structure. That's the point. And quite frankly, it's a really nice feeling. It's one of the best feelings to feel that we are not as dependent on outer things working for us having a sense of control and feeling that we are in charge of our own life. To be honest, I can think of few things more valuable than feeling to be in charge of my own life, even when outer structure is breaking down. It feels very important. Very important. The tricky thing, though, is that every outer structure breaking down creates its own specific kind of confusion in us. Confusion is overwhelming, yet very detailed. So it's not just one kind of confusion, it's as many kinds of confusion as there are parts of structure. So say that, for example, some part of our financial system is breaking down. That will create a very specific kind of confusion in us. The fear and the confusion of money not working as it's supposed to, the fiscal flows not functioning as they're supposed to, that creates a very specific kind of confusion. And to take another example, the structure between countries breaking down, the cooperation deteriorating, that creates another kind of confusion. It feels different, and the kind of inner structure that we can make out of that confusion is different from the other confusion. So it's a constant learning process, and it's a constant getting used to feeling confused. Feeling confused, getting used to that feeling, it's sort of like watching a movie and not really knowing how the movie will end. It's sort of like that. To just sort of, in one sense, make friends with the feeling of not knowing. To make friends with mystery. It sounds pretentious, but that's the best word I can come up with right now. The unknown, we might say, or change, making friends with change, things not staying the same, or things growing or changing shape. And we can sit together and just sort of pause for a second or two and just say out loud, wow, this structure, this outer structure breaking down, this is really making me confused. I feel I have no idea how this is gonna go, or I don't even know how I feel about this. Just feels odd. At first it just feels like we can't do anything with it. It just feels odd and uncomfortable and painful. Like it's pointless, it's hopeless, nothing can be done. That's the initial feeling. But then, that's when we just have stepped out of the light and into the dark. And then everything is just pitch black. If we just pause for a moment, our vision, our sight will start coming back. And we will see some kind of shape, some kind of texture or form. Enough for us to take one step. And that's all we need. We see enough to be able to take one step. And then we see something else. And then we take one step more. And like that, one step at a time. It's sort of like a funny example. The cartoon character, Dory, from Finding Nemo. She's like that. She has no long-term memory. So everything for her is, every situation for her is a confused situation. She has no sort of context. She can only take one step at a time. And confused goal structure is in one sense like that. To sort of trust in our own ability to find ever new creative solutions, one step at a time. It's a lot about self-trust and trust in life, actually. It's a lot about that. There are other things as well, but that's one part of it. That's it for today. Thank you.